larger than life. He'll give you strife. He's Todd. He's tall, he's mean. He's a labeling machine. He's Todd. Rides a motorbike. He'll tell you what it's like. He's Todd. Don't know what he'll say. He'll scare the kids away. He's Todd. He's Todd.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you are. Welcome to the 10th episode of BS with Todd. We're so happy. This is our 10th Festivus. So I appreciate those out there who continually tune into this, and I welcome any new viewers, the tens of thousands that have viewed this so far. Again, welcome. I hope everybody's safe out there. It's a beautiful day here in Carlsbad, California. I think after this and all my work is done, I may go for a little ride out there. So we'll see. Today's topic is Datacom. Now, it's not really Datacom specific. A lot of the electricians are doing low voltage. You got security applications. You got voice over IP for the telephony. So a lot of this goes back to, well, what us old farts used to call Datacom. Now, you know, low voltage is really the term they use out there, and rightfully so, because again, there's a lot of today's applications and infrastructure that is running over UTP. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Don't forget, I want to remind you, since this is our 10th anniversary, 10th episode Festivus, I threw a little something out there as far as a promo. And at the end of the show, let me know if you'd like to partake in the promo, where if you purchase any 2 of our printers, Hot Toddy's giving you one for free. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Mr. Jamie Brookover. He's going to be the one, if you would please, that let him know if you're interested in the promo, and he'll hook you up. So Jamie, you out there?
We're doing a promo? Thanks for letting me know. Appreciate it.
All right. So anyway, Jamie's going to be in the background. He's going to be answering any questions that you do have. So please use the Q&A. I've only got a half an hour of your time. I'm going to run through this rather quickly. This episode and all the previous episodes are also available to view at a later date. So in case I do fly through this stuff a little too quick, Jamie can give you the link to watch those previous episodes, if you will. So Datacom low voltage labeling. Some of the old school ways, and I still see some of this stuff out there, by the way. This, a Sharpie and tape. I still see this stuff out there, believe it or not. Old school. Am I guilty of that? Previously, years ago, in my previous career where I used to work for a living, yes. All right. Here's another old school way. We all remember these. These are actually still pretty popular. I know it's tough to see on there, but it's basically a label book, if you will. And there's several manufacturers that are still making these things. And again, I just got a request the other day for a fairly large project to use one of these things. So again, it's just a matter of education. And then from a high-tech level, I guess, back in the day, I used to use this, and a lot of people still use this. This is a Brother printer. This is one that you can purchase at any of the big box stores. I continually show this online because there's still a lot of these in use. Now, it beats the hell out of this or this, but it's not very efficient. So there are better ways, and I'm going to talk about those better ways here in a few minutes. They're still here, folks. This is 9 weeks now, and I dunked these. One is a flag label, one is a cable wrap. This one is in water. This one is in oil. So 9 weeks now submerged in water and oil. So again, that just shows how tough our tape is. So keep that in mind if you have any applications that are high heat, direct sun, humid environments, wet environments, our tape's not going to come off. So the basics of Datacom labeling. Let's start off cable labels. All right. So cable labels, again, I used to see a lot of this stuff, or writing directly on the cable. Again, this is not an efficient effort. There I go with the ums. You know, after 10 weeks, you'd figure I'd stop with the ums. But anyway, there's still a lot of that being used out there. Cable wraps, and when they became very popular, is sheet labeling. And one of our competitors is still very popular. It's on an 8.5 by 11 square. It's called self-laminating label. And it had a small little white printable area followed by a clear tail. And that clear tail was to protect the print, because we used to print them off on inkjet printers and you didn't want them to scratch or smear. But again, it's not really an efficient method of doing that, because there's a lot of mistakes that can happen either at the office or between point A and point B. And when you get to point B and you're wrapping these labels, you're going to discover some mistakes, and it still goes on to this day, and time is money. So we want to avoid all mistakes as far as the labeling. It's a one and done scenario. Hopefully it's a one and done scenario. So you got the cable wraps, you have your patch panels. To me, patch panels was the biggest pain in the butt, only because you had to guess the port spacing. You can go to any manufacturer's website and you're not going to get the port spacing. So what everyone does out there primarily is that they'll print off a test strip. And in the old days, you take a printer like this and you type in A01 space, 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 A02 space, 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 A03 space, space, blah, 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 blah. And you discover that you're a space off, you're a tick off. So now you've got to redo it and add an extra space. Hey, that's still done out there, but what a waste of time. What a waste of money, because you're having to throw the material away. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but the port spacing on a patch panel, and we'll go into how to correct that issue here in a little bit. Face plates, there's my other big point of contention. I was and am still a tight ass, if you will. What I saw when myself, because we didn't have a choice, myself and the techs out there on the work floor, as they're doing the faceplate labels, they print off a faceplate label, take their snips off, cut a little bit off the left, a little bit off the right to fit in that little desi window. And at the end of the night, they come through and they vacuum up all those profits. So again, we'll talk about that in a second as well. I've got a fix for both of those. So with cable labeling, patch panels, face plates, labeling the actual patch panel designation on a rack, that's very important. Labeling that rack, labeling that cabinet, whether it be a 4-post, a server, a 7x19, a wall mount, it is important to label that structure. What else? Pathway labeling. All right, and a lot of this I'm going to go into next week as far as 606C, ANSI, TIA 606C. We're now on C, and they've made a couple of adjustments. So tune in next week, and I'm going to give you the full rundown as far as some of the new additions to EIA TIA 606C. So we're talking about pathways now being labeled. We're talking about grounding and bonding being labeled. We're talking about fire stop locations being labeled. And so I think it's great. It's absolutely great that all these things are being labeled, because you know what? Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. So it's fantastic they're adding all this stuff. But what I'm going to show you is an easy way and an easy method of doing all that with one machine. And it used to be, you know, again, we would go out there with the Avery, oh, can I mention Avery? With whoever's sheets. And then we go out with the self-laminating 8.5 by 11s, and we'd have this to do our patch panels. And it was really quite cumbersome. So what Brothers got incorporated into their industrial lineup are the hotkeys on the printers, and the ability to do face plates and flags. And, oh, I forgot about a 110. Oh my God, a 110 punch down block. Again, I still see some of those out there. I was in Phoenix a couple of months ago before all this crap hit and went into a fairly large data center. Not only did I see wire wrap, remember that, Joel Farts? Wire wrap out there. I saw some 66 blocks and I saw some 110. I also saw some Chrono blocks out there. And so to do a DESI strip on a 110, what a pain in the rear that was. So again, I'm primarily going to focus on the PTE 550, which is this guy right here. And the white buttons you see are hotkeys. And you have the ability to do everything that was aforementioned with that particular machine. So one of the things I'm going to show you, and I hope to God this works. I just got this new screen sharing software and it seems to be working so far, but I'm going to actually flip to my phone and I'm going to show you a couple of things that Brother offers to make your life a hell of a lot easier. And we're going to start with the patch panels. So give me just a second while I share my screen and let's pray this comes up. All right, so far, so good. Let me switch to my camera real quick. All right. By the way, people ask, is this your garage? I get that all the time. Yes, it is. This is my garage. All right, here is the full set. Right here. There's my intricate network. Not labeled. But anyway, so one of the things that Brother includes, starting at the PTE 300, is this guy right here. And what this is, it is a patch panel ruler. And forgive me with the phone moving around, but I've got to hold this. Now, a patch panel ruler. The beautiful thing about this is that you can get within 1/100th of an inch on a patch panel. Because again, like I mentioned, if you go to that manufacturer's website, you are not going to get that port spacing. So how do you guess this port spacing? It's very simple. And I hope nobody's going to get sick with this camera moving. But essentially what you do is this. You line up the left edge with the left edge of port number 1. You go down to the left edge of port number 4, and it's going to give you your spacing. Easy peasy. Now all you do is you input that into the machine, and I'll show you that in a second. But again, you're spot on every time. No more wasting any label. Now, the other thing we talked about is faceplates. On the bottom of this, if you can see here, I have a measurement for faceplates. And the beautiful thing about this is that if you have a faceplate, and most of the low voltage stuff comes with DESI windows, if you will, all right? And you want to be able to fit that inside of the DESI window, all right? Or the DESI plate itself, DESI strip, whatever you want to call it. So again, this is huge. On the back side of this, there's a brief little tutorial as far as what types of oh, you know what? It's taking a picture of that QR code there. I don't want it to do that. But anyway, there's a breakdown of what different types of tapes to use for patch panels, face plates, cable wraps, and curved surfaces. So that's pretty damn cool. Now, the other thing we have for patch panels, and this is a game changer. So this is our TZE N201 super narrow tape, 9/64ths. All right, very, very, very narrow tape. This was designed back in the day for compact discs. You know what? I'm shaking a little bit. Anyway, designed for compact discs. Now, the beautiful thing about this is high density patch panels. All right, what people are doing is they're taking a 3/8 inch tape, and our most popular tape out there for patch panels and faceplates is this guy right here, TZE 221. So what they're doing is they're taking that and they're cutting it a little off the top and a little off the bottom to essentially fit on the high density patch panels. You don't need to anymore, folks. You just use that one right there. So let me stop this real quick. All right. So that's a little bit about, and again, the actual cards themselves come in the hard case kits starting at the PTE 300. And I believe all the desktops have those as well. All right, so going to the machine itself. Now, so now I've measured the patch panel, and now it's time to do a panel schedule, if you will. So let me grab this. I'm going to switch back over. We'll see how well this works. So what I'll do is I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do cable wraps, patch panels, so forth and whatnot, based upon the measurements that I just took. So hypothetically, all right, let's just say, let me grab my glasses. Let's just say that I am going to do a patch panel. The first thing it's going to ask me up here is what was my spacing. So let's say that I had a 0.64 spacing, and a modular patch panel is going to have 4. This particular patch panel, all right, we have 4. Some have 6 packs, some have 8 packs, 24. But what I'll do is I'll just say it's going to be a 6-pack. I'll hit OK. Now, I'm going to clear everything out of here. All right, text and format. All right, here's my patch panel. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that if you're not using a database, it does have serialization. So there's A01 dash 01. Now, I can come down here and I can serialize this. The beautiful thing about serializing is that the machine is going to do all the work for me. So I'm going to highlight where I want to start, where I want to finish. The machine is going to ask me, let's just do 35. All right, I'm done. I'm done. And utilizing that TZE221 or the TZEN201, I can now print my patch panel. All right, so I've got that data already in there. So now I want to take that, I want to do a cable wrap. So let's go over to a Cat6A. Let's just hit the OK button right here. Watch what happens. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with my cable wraps. So now it's time to do a faceplate. So let's go faceplate. Now, using that ruler, I measured, and in that case, it was a 1.9. Now, here's where you tell the machine how many ports in that faceplate. You got a single gang or a single port. You got 2 port. You can do it vertically or horizontally. In this case, I'm going to do a vertical, and I'm done. It even gives you a preview button right here of what it's going to look like. All right, so how easy is that? It doesn't get any easier. Now, what this means is it means that you can essentially do everything I just mentioned with this one machine, and only using 2 tapes. You're going to use the TZEN201, excuse me, the TZE221 for your faceplates. You're going to use them for your patch panels. And then you'll use our TZEFX251, which is our 24 millimeter or 1-inch tape for cable wraps, for grounding, for busing, for raceway. So you utilize those. Now, the other thing we can do is this. And here's a beautiful, beautiful thing. The ability to put a database in here of thousands of labels. If you notice down here, I've got a database button. All right, when I hit the database button, it's based upon a CSV. So the easiest thing to do is take an Excel format, save it as a CSV, comma separated value. You can now put that in this machine. And here's a list of my databases right here. All right, and you can break them up per floors, you can break them up per closets, but in this particular case, as you can see, it looks like an Excel spreadsheet. I can put IP addresses in there, port locations, names, addresses, phone numbers, but here's my cable ID. So watch how easy this is. Highlight where I'm going to start. Scroll down to where I finish or where I want to finish. Hit the OK button. The machine extracts that information. I'm done. Done. It can't get any easier. And the beautiful thing about this is that if you make a mistake, you can correct the mistake out in the field. If you pre-print the damn labels, you got a problem. So I brought in that database, if you will, the information out of that database. I can do the same exact thing. I can go to a patch panel. I can put in my parameters. Let's say I want to do a high density patch panel, which is going to be an 8-pack. I'm done. Here's your preview. All right, same with the cable wraps. If I'm going to take that information, now we've already done the front of the patch panel. I'm going to go around back. I'm going to do the cable wrap. Select your diameter. Now, as far as the diameter, you can put any type of diameter you want, a certain length if you're doing a big trunk cable. All right, Cat 5, Cat 6, Cat 6A, here's coax, or on the electrical side, or if you're doing some pro audio video with smaller wire, contact wires. Here's where you pick the gauge of the wire. But let's go back to, let's say, Cat 6A. I'll hit OK. Done. It automatically converts that over to your cable wrap. So again, it doesn't get any easier than that with this particular machine. What else? Oh, this is beautiful. All right. Where is it? Oh, we talked about 110 blocks. By default, 8-inch is the Desi strip, but now you can select how you're terminating. 2 pair, 3 pair, 4 pair, 5 pair, doesn't matter. Let's just go to a C4. Now remember, I pulled that data in from the database earlier. It's still in the machine. All I have to do is hit OK, and look how beautiful. Oh my, look at upper, lower, delineation lines in between. Man, I'm telling you, that's sexy. That is sexy stuff. So again, this particular machine is going to cover everything you need inside or for Datacom applications. And it's a PTE 550W. Now, last week, I believe it was last week, I went over our collaboration with Fluke and the ability to get the database into the PTE 550. It's very simple to do. I have videos out there on how to do everything that I just did. I have a video showing how from start to finish, I do an Excel spreadsheet, convert it over to a CSV, or even easier is you use Linkware Live with Fluke. Put it up on Linkware Live as an Excel spreadsheet. So you're getting rid of one of the steps in there. And what you'll utilize is this app right here. In fact, you know what the hell? We're on a roll, man. This stuff is working this morning. So might as well share it with you. So what I do is I would go up into iLink and Label. Now, this goes up into the cloud, if you will, and it'll grab the projects. So if I want to do this one, download it, and then transfer it to the machine, all I have to do is hit this, hit the send button. This connects to the 550W, and now I'm dumping that database in. So if you can do the work ahead of time, it's always easier to do an Excel spreadsheet, and you can do as many columns as you want. You may want to do a separate column for faceplates because you have so many types of media in a faceplate. You may have some audio, you may have some video, you may have their telephone system, which again is going over to a different server, different patch panel. So you may want to put a separate column in there for that as well. That really is the basics for Datacom. Oh, one of the things that I did want to show you real quick, and this is probably going to be it, and then I'll say my goodbyes, but let me show you this. Pretty cool stuff. So I showed you earlier. Now what I want to do is I want to do my cable wraps. So when I do my cable wraps, hit OK, I hit print. Now I can print everything I sucked into it, or I can hit arrange. Now if I do arrange and I do, let's just say to 4 or 5, hit OK. The one good thing that I can tell you about sheet labeling, self-laminating labeling, is the fact that it's nice and easy to peel. And you can just peel them off the 8.5 by 11. You can put them on the label, and they're all laminated because there's a lot of jobs that call for self-laminating or laminated labels. The cool thing about our brother tapes here is that everything is laminated except for the TZE 201 and except for our heat shrink. All right, the heat shrink itself prints off on the flat tube. That is not laminated. But the beautiful thing about this is that I can print off the strip, as you can see here, and I can have this thing 99 at a time. All right, so I can print the whole strip. But the beautiful thing about this is, and this is going to be tough to do. All right, in fact, here, you know what? I'm going to show you on this camera here. Let me stop sharing. But the beautiful thing about this strip is that the first one peels off just like an 8.5 by 11. You stick that on the cable. The second one peels right off. you stick that on the cable. You're not waiting for the machine. So it's the same basic attributes as an 8.5 by 11 sheet, if you will, and it is laminated. You can do the same thing with your patch panels. So if you have, let's say, a 4-port like I have here, or a 4-pack, you can print off the strip and it's going to put a half cut after that 4. Or if you're doing a 6-pack or an 8-pack, again, it's going to put that half cut in between. At that point, what you do is tack it up on the front of the 7 by 19 or 4-post or whatever you're using and just peel it off. And then you got less waste, because otherwise in the old days, you'd have all this stuff going to waste, and this stuff is lying all over the floor. So the half cut feature on the 550W and on our desktops is absolutely huge. If you don't trust your techs with a machine, roll it up, put it in a baggie, get them out the door. So again, those are your Datacom basics. It's 1026 right now. Next week, we're going to cover 606C. We also have CECs coming available. I know I mentioned it last week. We're this close to having it hosted on the Brother website. So that way, if you do need CECs, you can go up, you can take a look at my presentation. You're going to have to listen to this voice for quite some time. It'll seem like an eternity. But again, it's good for a couple of CECs. So stay tuned on that. I do appreciate everybody coming to these webinars. I know that everyone's being inundated with webinars right now, including myself. And so it means a lot to us as a Brother team to reach out to you and stay relevant on the labeling field. So again, I do appreciate you showing up. Kelly, if you could, give them a schedule on what's going on next week. So here we go. We got the ANSI TIA 606C overview. I will make this exciting. Trust me, it's really boring crap. I'll make it exciting. I'll make it relevant. We'll blow through it pretty quickly. Again, make sure to get with Jamie if you want to see any of these previously recorded episodes. June 25th, security applications. Security is a hot thing these days. Hot thing. And security also uses low voltage, if you will, or Datacom. They're using patch panels, they're using servers, they're using NVRs and DVRs and WAPs and you name it. All right, so we're going to go into those applications next week. We're going to take a break after that. We got July 4th. I know I'm not going anywhere. But to give everyone else a break out there, we're going to do electrical applications. Stay focused, or stay tuned for that, if you will. July 16th, warehouse and manufacturing applications. And then I also have a litany of other topics to talk about should this stuff stay out there. One of the things we're contemplating is maybe doing this bi-weekly, only because everyone is being inundated with all these different webinars. So we're going to talk about that. Again, I appreciate everybody out there. Kelly, if you would, here's our contact information. Coming up here pretty soon. Hey, there's me, Todd Morse, the man, the myth, Carlsbad, California. I cover everything west of the Mississippi. So if you need any assistance out there in labeling, I don't care what it is, please reach out to me. We've got Mr. Jamie Brookover. He is in Virginia Beach. We've got Mr. Daniel Cobb, who primarily deals with the MRO side of things. Mr. Bruce Page, our latest addition, out there somewhere on the East Coast. Mr. Rob Dawkins, who again, I had the pleasure of working with Rob many years ago, really knows his stuff. He's primarily focusing on manufacturing and warehousing. And then our glorious leader, Mr. Craig Robinson, out of near Sarasota, Florida. So I hope the humidity is just too much to bear for you, Craig. I really do. With that being said, thank you very much. I appreciate you for tuning in. We do have a poll. Please stick around for the poll. Your input is very much valued. Again, I hope you enjoyed this, and have yourself a great weekend. Thank you very much.